Hi, this is Chris, and this is the replay of my round 3 match from the August 3rd, 2012 Tribal Apocalypse Player Run event. My Nomads that I showed you in the previous deck tech versus my opponent's Pirates. To give you an idea of what Pirates do, the basic of the idea of the deck is you have these three guys from Mercadian Masks who, when you play them, the opponent has to sacrifice a permanent unless he pays some amount of mana, which scales with the cost of the guy. If they play a guy, tap out to play a guy, you can respond with one of these guys, and then they basically have to sacrifice either a land or the guy that they just played. If they're sacrificing a land, they're going to be less able to pay these costs on the later ones that you would play. And if they're sacrificing guys, then you have 12 Gatekeepers of Malakir in your deck, which is pretty good. My opponent chose to round out his creature base with Rishadan Airship, a pretty respectable 3/1 high flyer there, and Pirate Ship, which I think did lead to sort of a questionable card choice on my opponent's side, which we'll see when we do the replay. My opponent decided not to go with this flamboyant fellow, Ramirez de Pietro, who I guess tells tall tales about his age. But if you can remember playing with this guy when he was a paper magic card, then I don't have to think too long to guess how old you are, which is easily as old as me. You'll also notice a full 25% of these pirates were drawn by Phil and Kaja Foglio. So, anyways, we're getting to the match. You see here, I have actually kept what is probably the perfect hand against his pirates, because what you really want to do, none of them are that threatening. If you sit back on your instant speed removal, and if he doesn't have anything that really punishes you for not committing to the board, which in his build he doesn't, you can just sit back on this instant speed removal and not get punished by his pirate effects there unless you can afford it. You'll also see that here in a minute he's going to Spreading Seas, the Stomping Ground that I'm going to fetch. And in a deck that's designed to make me sacrifice permanents, I understand the Spreading Seas does cantrip, but what it's really doing, I'm guessing, is it's allowing his pirate ships to attack, which that's not going to ever really work unless you hold it until the very end of the game, because I'm just going to sacrifice the Spreading Seas, whatever land is enchanted with that, the first time I get caught by one of your pirate effects. You'll see here, I'm just waiting for him to do something, and he's obviously holding a handful of those guys, trying to get value out of them. Finally, he plays something here that I do kind of have to respect, and I'm not going to be able to just let this sit around, but I've, at this point, drawn plenty of instant speed removal that allows me to play around that if I want. Now here, you see he's got Rune Snag, pretty good as a counter spell 5 through 8 in this kind of deck, because you are planning on having your opponent being tight on mana just through your pirates, and of course this can also force him to tap down a little more so that you can catch him with a pirate, as you'll see that he does get me to do here. Unfortunately, he had to double Rune Snag at this point to just to get my one guy countered. But he is able to catch me here with a foot pad, but now of course I'm just going to sacrifice the land that has the Spreading Seas on it. And he's going to try to get in some beats with this airship, but I have so much instant speed removal at this point, I'm just not too worried about it. He's going to go for swinging in with his man land. I'm going to tap out to use my Violent Eruption. And now here again he will punish me for tapping out with this Rishadan Cut Purse, but I'm still in fine shape here. I only planning at this point to win the game with Mystic Enforcer. Now my opponent in his build is not playing any removal. He's basically playing his 20 guys, he's playing 8 counter spells, he's playing 4 ponders, he's playing 4 Spreading Seas. I do think having something like Boomerang in this deck would be a good idea. Would basically make me recast a guy, tap out again, expose myself to a pirate again. He's got a bunch of counter magic in here. Again, that seems like something, if you were going to try this style of deck and you didn't want to spend a bunch of money on some of the things we'll talk about here after the match, just adding boomerangs might be a very simple way to go. Now he's going to play this Cut Purse, but again, I didn't care. I was just had an Echo guy here ready to go to the graveyard, and he goes ahead and dumps his hand. At this point, I go ahead and drop my finisher. He hasn't shown me any removal. Turns out he doesn't have any in his deck. I'm not really worried about getting caught by a pirate and having to sacrifice something. I'm just going to win with Mystic Enforcer here. Went ahead and played this Avalanche Riders. I didn't mind losing it if I had to a pirate. But of course here I chose to do the land just to keep his 2 guys back, because I'm pretty sure I'm just going to win with Mystic Enforcer at this point. And now here he is able to ponder into a flyer, but I'm holding 2 Swords to Plowshares in my pocket, and that is all she wrote. So I finished him off by Swords Plowsharing on the flyer. Now, one of the ways you could go with this pirate, I mean, the obvious thing would be to play Rishadan ports, but they're very expensive on Moto. They're somewhere between 30 and 40 tickets. But if I was trying to play my weight and play instant speed removal at the end of your turn, never get caught by your pirates game, he could use these Rishadan ports to try to tap me down at the end of my turn to expose me to his pirates so that I might lose lands. And also just if he is expecting to mana constrain me in general, because I might be sacrificing lands to pirates, it would just be a very good card. But again, it is very expensive, and you wouldn't necessarily expect to spend 120 tickets on a one-off to throw in a fun pirate deck. So that's not necessarily realistic. I think another thing that he could do would be to play with some kind of planeswalker, and I don't know if that would require a splash or if he could stay in blue for it, depending on what he would have. But again, that would force me to commit something to the board, and if I didn't commit anything to the board, if I didn't put any guys down and I played the way that I played there, his planeswalker is going to punish me turn in, turn out for not doing that. Obviously, you know, something like Jace the Mind Sculptor, if you had it, but that's a money issue just as bad as Rishadan Port. Would do that, but Jace Bellerin even, or Big Jace, Memory Adept, are both serviceable, you know, win conditions that are going to punish me for playing the kind of game that I was playing there. So again, I think that's something that you might do. A final option might be to do something like throw in Ancient Tombs, tap for 2 colorless mana but do damage to you. It would help you power out those pirates a turn earlier, and you might be able to catch more people with them, because as it is right now, if your opponent's on the play, he can basically play whatever he wants for the first couple turns, and there are some decks that are going to levy that advantage from the first couple of turns over your guys who all cost 3, 4, 5 mana, and just be able to roll over you from there. So that's some of the things that I would think about if I was going to build a pirate deck. I think that my opponent in this match pretty much had the essentials of the deck down, and that's sort of the starting point where you would go from. And if you didn't have a, you know, Rishadan ports lying around for some reason, you played goblins on Moto Legacy, I would say adding a planeswalker or something to force you to commit to the board would really complement well. But even at a minimum, just adding something, some bounce effect, boomerang into the royal, something like that, would really punish the opponent and let you catch him with your pirates a little bit better. So anyways, thanks for watching my match and my deck tech. Whenever I play in the event, I'm going to try to go ahead and upload both a match and a deck tech if I can, and show you both my deck and a little bit about my opponent's deck, give you some ideas of some of the things that you can be playing in this Tribal Apocalypse event. And thank you for joining me.